Now it has come to my attention that the majority of you watching this YouTube video programming as of this moment have not gone and clicked the subscribe button down below. It's my greatest displeasure to inform you that this video cannot continue until you have done so. So, I shall wait. As soon as this movie ended, I thought I have to do an intro with Daniel Craig's voice in this movie. Anyways guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and on this channel it's my job to point you in the direction of movies worth checking out. So if that interests you, definitely hit like and subscribe. And today I'm here to tell you if Knives Out, the newest film from Rian Johnson, is worth a watch today. So the story for Knives Out is actually a pretty simple one. There is this really famous mystery writer named Harlan Thrombey, and it's his 85th birthday and all his family gathered together in his giant mansion, and he commits suicide. But Daniel Craig, the private investigator known as Benoit Blanc, comes to investigate the scene because he suspects foul play. And again, sorry for all you Southerners out there, I cannot do your accent, but you know what, it's fun to do Daniel Craig's voice in this movie, even though I'm not good at it. But is Knives Out worth a watch today? Absolutely. This movie is a ton of fun. So the first thing I should mention is this absolutely stacked cast. When I watched the trailer, I was like, holy shit, there are a ton of people in this movie. Don Johnson from Miami Vice, one of my favorite shows, Jamie Lee Curtis, Chris Evans, which I think this movie is going to be great for his career, Michael Shannon, Christopher Plummer, and Daniel Craig and Ana de Armas. Is that how you pronounce her name? Either way, this was a stacked cast, and they all have their moments to shine, but Daniel Craig, man, holy crap, does he do a phenomenal job in this movie. And whenever I see Daniel Craig, I think of James Bond, right? And I think for all the James Bond actors, it's really easy to be typecast into that sort of role. And here, when you hear that accent, you're just like, really? That's the voice we're going with? And again, like a lot of people have said on the internet, as soon as you hear that voice coming out of Daniel Craig, it kind of like takes a second to get used to, but then right away you're like, okay, I'm on board for this. And I feel that with his, like, he's really hamming it up in this movie. Of course, I'm here to suspect you are, you know, like that kind of stuff. But with this type of movie, and I'll get to the great mix of genres here, that accent and his acting style really fits that old school whodunit, right? That word is being thrown around all the time for this movie, but it fits that suspense thriller aspect of this movie, but it also fits the humor of this movie really well, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And of course, it's a great voice to imitate. As soon as I got out, I was thinking to myself, all right, shall we continue this evening by going to Tim Hortons, which is a Canadian coffee house, after this movie for a quick hot chocolate. It's a fun voice to attempt. But the main character in this movie is actually Ana de Armas as Marta, and I gotta be a guy for a second. She is absolutely gorgeous. It's a little celeb crush of mine, but she does a phenomenal job in this movie, and I haven't really seen too many movies of hers. You know, I've seen Blade Runner, I've seen this. I'm excited to see her in No Time to Die with Daniel Craig, of course, but she does a great job in this movie. And her character is given a character trait that in another movie I think would have been really dumb and the humor would have really fallen flat. But in this movie, the perfect blend of suspense and humor, this one character trait, and I won't spoil it, it works in both. Not only is it funny the first time it happens, however, with that character trait, it adds a lot more suspense to various different scenes. And that brings me into the screenplay of this movie. It is so tight and well written. Everything has a setup and a payoff. And one thing I noticed in this movie, and it happens in a lot of, you know, murder mysteries, is the motifs, right? This movie does a really good job at focusing on certain items, right? Maybe a syringe, a knife, you know, those like little checkerboard things. I don't know what they're called. You know, that white and black game that they're playing. It could be some mud on the floor. It could be a mug. It could be all these little things. The movie does a great job at making you remember all these little motifs that come up into play throughout the murder mystery. And I've alluded to this earlier, this movie does a great job at handling two very different genres, right? You have the suspense thriller genre that generally isn't too funny, right? You're supposed to be intrigued. You're supposed to be on the edge of your seat, like wondering what's going to happen next. and you definitely have that in this movie. But then you also have the comedy aspect, the humor, which when you think about it is not really suspenseful, it's not really mysterious, it's to try to get you to smile and to crack up. And this movie does that many, many times, but it's not for gags. There's no like fart jokes. There's no like really dumb humor. Yes, there is some gross out humor in this movie, but it complements the suspense genre really, really well. Both of the genres, they do a really good job at intertwining them both and making the story just feel really cohesive and just super interesting. And one thing that I really have to applaud the movie for, and that's again, Rian Johnson subverting your expectations, is that you get a really big puzzle piece to the murder mystery very early on. And I'm thinking, wait, this can't be the reveal. Like, I feel like I know the entire mystery by now, but there's clever enough, there's just a couple little blank spots in the story that you're like, okay, there's gotta be something bigger than this. This cannot be the whole story. I feel like I've just solved the case within the first 20 minutes of the movie. But there's gotta be some more. Through the great characters, through the great comedy, through the great direction, and through just the little tiny little question marks throughout the movie, you do get a satisfying ending that you really didn't see coming. Again, I don't like to use this term, but the movie pulls the rug out from under you. I'll use it because this movie does take place in a mansion with a ton of really cool things in the mansion. The production design in this movie, as well as the cinematography, is top notch. But this movie does bring enough twists and turns to keep you really invested, even though you think you know what's happening really early on in the movie. And I've heard people actually complain about that. I think this movie does it in a really clever way. So with a great cast of characters, a great blend of genres, great leads with Daniel Craig and Ana de Armas, and the murder mystery genre, which I really do enjoy. I don't watch enough of it, but I love those scenes where they're just trying to put together the entire case, and then right at the end, there's that one little moment that everything comes together and then the characters explain it. That you've seen it in a lot of different movies. I love those scenes, and you get a great one here as well. So for an overall rating, I'm gonna give Knives Out a 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed my time with this movie. This is a lot of fun, guys. So if you're looking for a murder mystery movie to get into that you don't really want to watch something that's super serious or super dark or super intense, then Knives Out is a good option because it does bring a lot of humor and it does bring a lot of flair, right? It has its own style, its own voice, its own spark of imagination. Anyways, guys, tell me down in the comment section down below, what is your favorite murder mystery movie? Anyways, folks, I would like to sincerely thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. And if you haven't already, definitely hit like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.